Forces and the outstanding work that they have been doing these past 3 years. Great work that will continue under Admiral Gortney's leadership. We are truly honored to be able to share this day with you, and I am personally very proud and deeply honored to be completing my active service under your command. I would also like to offer you my deepest thanks for your friendship and strong support over the years, particularly these past 3 years. To be able to serve in our Navy is an extraordinary privilege in and of itself. But to be able to serve and find yourself in Hampton Roads, the greatest home port on the planet, in command of U.S. Fleet Forces, well, there just aren't the words available to me to adequately describe this experience. But I am acutely aware that whatever I have been able to accomplish here over the past 3 years is primarily due to what so many others have done with me and for me, as has certainly been the case for my entire career. At the head of that list of those that I owe so much stands the one and only, Mary Ellen, and close by her, my children, Sarah and David. Mary Ellen, your infinite capacity for love, inexhaustible patience, and truly astonishing sense of humor have made all the difference, not just in my career, but in my life. You have given us the wonderful kids we have today. You have made my life worth living. You have overcome much and have given so much to so many. Thank you for everything. I was pondering what would be the best way to truly recognize Mary Ellen for all she's done, both here during this tour and for the past 30 years. Participating in the Tidewater Officer Spouse Association, hosting so many events at Missouri House, leading the continuing resource education meetings with Mary Ellen Baldwin of our Navy League, supporting Surface Officer Spouse events, and so much more. Now, she wasn't too fired up about coming up on the stage with us guys. Imagine that. So instead, she requested that we take this moment to honor all the wonderful spouses, all the ombudsmen, and all the volunteers she has served with, both here at Fleet Forces and indeed over the past 30 years since she joined the Big Blue team by marrying me. So would you please join me in recognizing our families, our spouse associations, our family readiness groups, our ombudsmen, and all our volunteers who make it all happen for our Navy. Sarah, just a few years ago, don't worry, it's not going to be bad. Just a few years ago, you first journeyed to Norfolk to be baptized on board the USS Nimitz. And with that early infusion of Navy spirit, you've gone on to accomplish truly wonderful things with your life. We are so very proud of you. Now, David can't be with us today as he recently started a teaching gig in Beijing at Tsinghua University. In a move that is truly worthy of our family nickname for him, Ferris Bueller, David is teaching English and American culture at what is described as the MIT of China. Well, it's a good thing he's not teaching math. He doesn't know very much Chinese, so this should really be interesting. Now, I'm sure that some of you were wondering what this rebalance to the Pacific that our president really announced was all about. Well, it's not just Marines in Darwin or more submarines in Guam. It's also David Harvey in China. Lord help us. Lord help them. Now, there's a great many other wonderful people here from Mary Ellen's and my family, all of whom have been incredibly supportive of us as we made this Navy journey together. My sister Libby, my brother Bill, Mary Ellen's brother Peter, and her Uncle Joe. We are all so grateful to all you did for us in the good times and in the hard times. Along with your families, you have supported us and sustained us through thick and thin. Thank you for everything. And then there's my dad. Many of you here have gotten to know my father over the years, so I don't have to describe him to you. He's just amazing. And he's been everything a son could ever ask for in a father. But of all the things my father did for me and gave me, that all great fathers do for their sons, one has really stood out as the years went by. And that is the example he gave me of what it meant to serve. To devote yourself to a cause larger than yourself, and to be a professional. Dad, not a day went by that I didn't measure my service by your accomplishments, to see if I measured up to the example you set. You are from the greatest generation, and you have been the greatest dad. Thanks for everything. I'm very proud to be your son. The past few weeks have offered me the opportunity to express my gratitude to so many who did so much these past 3 years. The wonderful U.S. Fleet Forces team, our Fleet Forces flag and SES leadership, my type commanders, and my extremely competent, deeply loyal, and always amazing personal staff, my extended family. There are so many others here I need and want to recognize who made such a difference for me in this tour, but that task is clearly impossible to accomplish at this event. So I'll do what I did when I took command 3 years ago. At that time, I singled out Senior Chief Machinist Mate Robert D. Neal, my very first chief in my very first division on my very first ship, USS Enterprise, to receive my thanks as a representative of all those at every pay grade who invested so much of their time and energy in me over the years. Today, I'll go back to the Chief's Mess and call out Fleet Master Chief Mike Stevens to represent all those who did so much for me these past 3 years. Quite simply, Fleet Stevens represents the very best of our Navy. He's the chief you wish every division officer could have as their first chief on their first tour. Wise, mature, dedicated, grounded, and respectful. An exceptional leader of sailors and an extremely talented mentor of officers, especially flag officers, and most especially 4-star flag officers. And he's the chief you wish every fleet commander could have as the Fleet Master Chief. He's got the big picture. He knows the Navy, every bit of it. He can run with the SEALs, and he can hang with the nukes. He can come in, shut the door, and give me the hard truth. A truly exceptional individual who found his way into our Navy 4 days after graduating from high school in Missoula, Montana. And he is going to be our next Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy. And so to Fleet Master Chief Mike Stevens, and to all those, officer, enlisted, and civilian, who, like Fleet Stevens, put so much of themselves into the past 3 years here at Fleet Forces, I acknowledge a debt I can never begin to repay. For the U.S. Fleet Forces team, when I took the watch just over 3 years ago, I gave you 4 primary reference points from which we would take our bearings and chart our course. First, we would continue to do what was most important and put mission accomplishment first. Our priority would be to send our ships, our aviation squadrons, our submarines, and expeditionary forces forward, ready for tasking, whenever and wherever required. Second, we would maintain a relentless focus on the fundamentals of our profession, leadership, seamanship, and airmanship, because everything depended first and foremost on our ability to be brilliant on the basics, leading and developing our people, operating and maintaining our fleet, and getting the most out of every readiness dollar we've been given. Third, we would work hard, really hard, to establish the closest possible partnership with our Pacific Fleet, Marine Forces Command, Coast Guard, and Northern Command counterparts. For it would only be by means of an open, honest, and truly collaborative relationship with PAC Fleet, the Marines, Coast Guard, and Joint Shipmates, up and down the chain of command, that we could present CNO, as we are tasked to do, the complete, comprehensive, and coherent answers to the readiness questions that are so critical to us. Ready for what? By when? For how long? And at what cost? And those indeed are the questions for Fleet Forces to answer. And finally, we would never forget that when all is said and done, the power of our Navy is in our people, not our platforms. It is the total force team here at Fleet Forces that fulfills the purpose and the promise of our Navy. And it would be those people, our sailors, our civilians, and their families, to whom we would devote the last full measure of our devotion. Those were the principles I wanted to govern our actions, and you held firm to them. Over the past 3 years, there were certainly no shortage of challenges before us, but because of your hard work and determination on behalf of our Navy, I believe we had a positive impact on our fleet. And it is because of your dedication and your professionalism, the fundamental strengths of this institution and the Navy we are so privileged to serve, that I remain so optimistic about our future. I promised you that I was all in on this tour. I would give you everything I have with every fiber of my being, and I did my best to live up to that promise. You certainly lived up to your part of the bargain. Shortly into my tour, you spearheaded Navy's response to the devastating earthquake in Haiti. You worked fast and you worked well. You took broad direction and you did the right things without being told. You made a tremendous difference. Your work saved a great many lives and helped hundreds of thousands of people who had nothing except what we were able to give them. You took ownership of the necessary actions identified by the Fleet Review Panel, worked the problem hard with Admiral Kevin McCoy's NAVC team, our regional maintenance centers, our surface TICOMs, and our PAC fleet counterparts. Because of your efforts, we're turning the corner on the material condition of the surface fleet. You reinvigorated our partnership with the United States Marine Corps, working with Marine Forces Command under the leadership of Lieutenant Generals Rich Natonsky, Denny Halett, and now Jay Paxton. You planned, organized, and executed the Bold Alligator series, including Bold Alligator 12, the largest live amphibious exercise on the East Coast in over a decade. Welcome home, Jay. It's great to have you back with the fleet. You moved our anti-terrorism and force protection mission to the center of our scope. You developed comprehensive nationwide training plans that we executed 3 years running in our Solid Curtain and Citizen Shield exercises, with each year's event being more demanding than the previous years. You identified command and control issues throughout our fleet structure and then developed and implemented the fixes for them. Your work ensured we provided a unified voice to our CNO with our PAC fleet counterparts and established clear and unambiguous lines of authority and accountability throughout our Navy. And you established a very strong partnership with the Hampton Roads community at every level throughout this region. And you showed the strength of this partnership last April when one of our aircraft went down in an apartment complex in Virginia Beach, and our Navy and our civilian first responders came together as one to deal with the effects of that crash. And we've stayed together with the city every step of the way since that terrible day. And finally, your efforts have strengthened and maintained our time-tested, combat-proven standards for maintaining, training, and operating our fleet so that the sailors in our ships, our squadrons, our submarines, and our expeditionary units are able to deploy confident in their ability to execute their assigned missions. Wholeness is now a guiding principle when we make decisions impacting the fleet. All that and so much more because of you, your commitment, your professionalism, and your steadfastness. I am so proud to have had the privilege of serving with you. 3 years ago, I concluded my remarks with the words of John Paul Jones, who called the first generation of American sailors to sea in the defense of our nation. Those sailors who weathered the storms, fought the battles, endured the crises, and made the choices in the most difficult of circumstances that gave us the Navy it is our sacred duty and great honor to serve in today. Sign on, young man, and sail with me. The stature of our homeland is nothing more than the measure of ourselves. Our duty